Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for joining me on the Angry Truth channel. So today's video, we're going to talk about fear and control. Now, why is this topic being discussed? For the obvious reasons, guys, because look what's going on. Everything right now is fear and control based. Everything we do, everything we say. If you say something, off color now, you're being canceled. The cancel culture is fucking out of control. The cancel culture is part of, I guess, a program where they want you to start canceling things that people don't like. So we all thought that it was just about the LGBT community screaming at whoever disagrees with their movement. And whoever disagrees with their movement is homophobic and all that other bullshit, right? But it doesn't, it goes way past that. It goes way past the black community screaming at some white folks because white silence equals black violence. Right? That bullshit. So all of this is fear and control. It started out with them. It started with the gay community. It started with the black community, right? It started with every other community now that's griping and complaining and arguing with their bullshit causes and their bullshit ideologies. So with that, guys, it starts with them. And a lot of people, including myself, didn't see it until probably, I'm gonna say, a year ago. I started realizing what was going on. I started to realize why they were letting these people scream about cancel culture and cancel this guy, fire him, fire that, the Me Too movement. All of it was part of the grand plan, guys, of fear and control. Because we are going to get to a point, we're already there actually, but we have a little more ways to go till we completely get to you can't say anything against anyone. Because right now, guys, if you say anything against anyone, you are going to be homophobic, you're going to be racist, you're going to be xenophobic, you're going to be all these things if you speak out against any group. That's going to translate over, or actually mutate, if you will, over into the government. If you speak against the government, you're going to be held accountable for it. Right? So this is part of fear and control, guys, but it's happening a little bit at a time in little doses that a lot of people are not onto it or can't even see it. Now, fear, we're going to talk about that first. That is used to manipulate people's feelings. That is used to manipulate people into whatever thought process or whatever actions people want you to take when they use fear to control you, i.e. COVID, fear control, 9/11 attacks, fear control. Right? A lot of little things, guys, that happen, it's fear to control your actions, or what you do next, rather, sorry. So if you are, for example, willing to give up your freedoms because you don't want another 9/11 style attack, people are okay with that. Put more surveillance cameras, right? For example, here in New York City, one of the police chiefs downtown, they're talking about putting up more cameras because more cameras are going to stop bullets. A bunch of kids here in the city are getting shot, and their solution to that was more cameras. More cameras don't do dick, guys. More cameras don't stop bullets, but this is what they want you to believe. Again, the fear part. Well, they're willing to give up their freedom so that they don't get shot in the street, so we're going to put up more cameras so we can watch them more. More cameras does not equate to less violence, because a motherfucker doesn't give a shit if he's fucking on camera, because what is he wearing now? A mask. A CDC sanctioned mask to hide his criminality. So again, guys, the fear portion. You don't want to get killed, you don't want to get shot, you don't want to get robbed. We got to put more cameras on the street. Now, when people, the human race, started, we had real world fears, guys. We had fears of being attacked by animals, right? Saber-toothed lions, fucking tigers and lions and bears and shit. I know where I was going. But, right, we had those real world concerns. We had diseases that we couldn't cure back then. We had starvation. Those are real concerns. Those are real fears. But yet, we were all manipulated in the 21st century to think that something with a 99% survival rate is going to kill you automatically. But the fear-mongering, the fear and control has transferred over to here, to the 21st century, where now we're scared of our own fucking shadows. Because they are shifting, they are allowed to shift our mindset and our focus on other things that don't really matter, or have a small percentage chance of you dying from it. They shift our focus and they shift our awareness of things because the media is allowed to do it. Now, a man named Seneca, which was a philosopher, if I'm not mistaken, said this: there are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more from imagination than in reality. So again, Seneca said this, and he's referring to, we often get into our own heads and we scare ourselves. That's as people across the board. It's not the media, it's not politicians, it's us ourselves. You sit home, you start thinking of shit, you start thinking, what if your kids get in a car accident? What if your husband gets in a car accident? What are you gonna do? Then you start to get nervous and you start to fucking, become a panicky bitch. Well, this is what he's talking about. Our imagination takes hold and goes. And then a lot of the times we can't even pull that back, because as you see, some people that you've met in your life are complete cowards of everything. They're scared of everything. Now, people have often used fear to control groups, entire groups or a person, and they use this to benefit them, right? So fear is always used in regards to benefit another party, especially now in this day and age. Listen, when there were legit threats of shit, you know what? We were warned about it, and you put it in the back of your head. We will prevail, we will get past this. But for example, I'm gonna use 9/11 again as an example. When 9/11 happened, or even Pearl Harbor rather, let's go with that, there were reports of these attacks happening before they happened. And the government disregarded and said, it's not gonna happen, that's not likely, or even if it was likely, we can handle it. Pearl Harbor, they got their asses handed to them. The Trade Center, we got our asses handed to us. Right? So again, guys, also our lack of imagination will get us in that, will put us in that boat of getting our asses handed to us, because we had the lack of imagination to see or foresee something like this happening. But that's a different subject for a different day. But now that those things happen, fear takes over, and now everybody will willingly give up their freedoms to make sure that we are more secure. Now, people who use fear as control, they will often make a mountain out of a molehill, right? They will also create a situation that's not even there. For example, Donald Trump, January 6th. Those two events, right? Or those two events, that January 6th event and Donald Trump were always blown out of proportion. Donald Trump was always blown out of proportion. January 6th was blown out of proportion. But if you don't pay attention to when the media picks and choose when to blow shit out of proportion, look at all of last year, 2020. When cities were burning, riots are happening, and the media, instead of calling it a riot, called it a protest. And in some cases, a peaceful protest with fire burning down a fucking store behind them. Well, this is kind of peaceful here. There's some fire set, but for the most part, they're being peaceful. The media dictates what you think and how you think. That was proof of it all last year. And yet we had one day, January 6th, which lasted a couple of hours, and they acted like that was the end-all be-all of America. So Edmund Burke had said, no passion so infectiously robs the mind of all of its powers of acting and reasoning as does fear. Fear is the mind killer, guys. Fear just destroys everything about a person. Now, it's good to think on the level of, okay, what if this happens? What if that happens? That's fine. But to succumb to that fear and go, well, if this happens, that's it, it's over. It's never over. It's not over till it's over, right? And yet, people will succumb to their fear on their own. Let's just leave the media out of it for this second, for this instant. People will come to their own demise in their heads without even trying to negotiate or navigate how to get out of that situation, even in their heads. For example, preppers. A lot of us preppers, the reason why we prep is because we want to figure out how to get out of a lot of situations, right? But instead, there are people, the opposite end of that are like, well, if this happens, I'm just going to die. If the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm just going to die. They're not going to run. They're not going to go somewhere to a safe haven. They're just going to die. That's what fear does. As for people, that's what fear does. Just now, we're not going to talk about the media. We're going to talk about people succumbing to fear, because that's what it is, guys. They just fold like origami, right? They fucking fold under pressure. Now, fear has been a common practice used for centuries. The Egyptians used it during their wartime of 1600 to 1800 BC. They used it to keep the people under control by saying that there were evading forces off to the north and or the south trying to attack the kingdom. They were under attack. Egypt was under attack, but when they pushed those forces back, they kept the rhetoric going. And this instilled the fear into the Egyptian people, constant fear. and the people were gladly willing to give up their freedoms to make sure that those invading forces didn't come in. Again, even the Egyptians were using fear. Now, John Adams has said, fear is the great foundation of most governments, right? So, absolutely. Again, guys, there's probably not one government built, even in a small community, right? A gated community, wherever it is in the United States, even they have a little bit of fear tactics to keep people in check. Well, what if people come over those gates? And what if we have a burglarer going around the neighborhood? How do we get this going? How do we make sure we protect our property? How do we protect our people? See, even they have a foundation of fear where they build off of. Right now, some people will absolutely build a fucking castle off that fear, and other people will just simply lay out the facts of what could happen, which is a huge difference of laying out the facts of what can happen and building off that fear and scaring the shit out of people on a constant basis are two different things. This is the difference between some prepper channels who fearmonger and some prepper channels who just give you the information, or even news medias for that example. Some of them will just let you know what's going on, and others will be like, yo, if you don't get this shit done, you're gonna die. Right? So again, guys, two different ways of treating the same situation. Fearmonger or report it as it is. All right, guys, so this is the Angry Prepper channel. Thank you for joining me on the Angry Truth channel. You can like, subscribe to this channel. You can also like and subscribe to the Angry Prepper channel. And if you don't mind, you can head over to the Angry Lensman channel, like and subscribe to that. You can also head over to podcast, whatever listening service you use, type up the Angry Prepper channel or the Angry Truth channel and listen to me on either channels. All right, guys, thank you for watching.